Hello, everyone. It is Saturday night. Yes, it is. And that means it's time for the Weekly Dig. For anyone new to the stream, this is a live show where we dig into anime, old and new. I'm Brent. These are my wonderful co-hosts, John.
Hello. Konnichiwa, mina.
And Steve.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
And let us start our dig tonight by analyzing an anime. I don't know quite what to call it. It's not a movie. It's not real. It's kind of an OVA, technically.
Yeah.
Kind of probably the closest thing. Voices from a Distant Star, which we all watched this week.
Could you call it a passion project?
You could certainly call it that.
Yeah.
In multiple ways. So Voice of a Distant Star is the second work, technically, from Makoto Shinkai. His first work was a short film called The Rain, A Girl in My Letter, I think, which is like a couple-minute long, kind of mood piece, just tone piece of essentially panning across drawings and that kind of stuff. Voice of a Distant Star started because Shinkai was actually working for a video game company, and he had access to Premiere and After Effects and all that kind of stuff, and folks at the company were talking about, hey, it's amazing, and this is like 2000, year 2000, they were like, it's amazing, people have access to all these digital tools. Someone could like make their own anime in their spare time if they wanted to. And he was like, now that you mentioned that. Yeah. And so he drew Voice of a Distant Star himself in 7 months.
Yep.
25-minute animation. He did not create the entire thing himself. So he got somebody else to do the music, stuff along those lines.
Okay.
Also, he and his wife, or I guess girlfriend slash fiance at the time, did the Japanese voice track. However, if you listen to it in Japanese, that's not what you hear. They went back, once it got rolling, they hired voice actors to re-record all that dialogue. Because apparently, he was like, yeah, no, we need professionals to do that. But, oh well.
We're just terrible.
Yeah, I have no idea. Hey, John, good to see you. So, yeah, it's a really interesting short film because it is very much from the mind of one person. What's hilarious, if you go to Wikipedia, he will say, they'll make a reference that he was inspired by Dracula, which does not make sense. And then when you go to the interview, he says, growing up, I read things like Dracula and watched stuff like, whatever. And I was inspired by the idea of all of these ideas coming from the head of one person. Like this whole world being created by Bram Stoker. And that whole idea was like, oh yeah, somebody could actually do this on their own. So yeah, he was not used to the media when he was doing interviews, perhaps, quite as much as he is now. Yeah, it's a short film that he did all of himself, and let's start off by talking about just sort of visually. We've seen some other Makoto Shinkai works. How would you compare and contrast Voice of a Distant Star to some of the other Shinkai stuff you've seen? Does it feel like a Shinkai film?
No. Yeah, well, I shouldn't say that so definitely. No, it's not. If you had not told me who that was, I wouldn't have made the connection.
Yeah.
But knowing who it is and then kind of recognizing backgrounds, that's what said. Okay,
that visual style.
That visual style of the backgrounds. And I was just like, okay, that's him. The character designs reminded me of Mega Tokyo.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Totally.
And I was just like going, wow, wouldn't be crazy if that dude was involved with this, but he's not. But I saw that, and so I would not have initially said that it was him. I probably would have guessed that it was a student art film or something. Sure. And but the animation of it was also so definitely the beginnings of somebody's career. And that's we've all gotten to that. We're all at that. In our respective things. There's always that point where you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
Right.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But you got to imagine that if he did that, I didn't know it did it in 7 months. This is something that had I even remotely that amount of skill would not have taken me 7 months. It would have been like 5 years later. I would have been like, okay, we're at the 30-second mark of this anime. So kudos for that effort. Yeah.
Yeah. When I watched it, I was like, again, if I didn't know it was Shinkai, I would have been like, this is a very skilled amateur.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's somebody who knows what they're doing. They're gonna do great things, but they're still just figuring it out. John, what are you?
I was with Steve. It's like when I was first looking at it, I'm like, if I didn't know that we were watching a Shinkai thing, I'd be like, I have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
And it's, I didn't even get background vibe off of it until I sort of started thinking more on it and thinking about just the way that the characters are done and the way that the story is laid out. Mm-hmm. I could see the Shinkai connection to that more than I could the visual style of it. And at first, again, remove Shinkai as a part of this and remove it, done in 7 months. I thought wow, this looks like someone's. They're tinkering with the visual model. Mm-hmm. It's like they're trying to get some of it's looking a little odd in some of the way the angulation of some stuff and the lining on things. I'm like, this is very artistic choices that are going on here, and I don't know what they're fueling. I don't know what it's driving towards. Mm-hmm. And then we get CGI space thing and floating in a capsule. I'm like, okay, I don't know now. Now you've just gone off on me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that scene happened, I just went.
Yeah. And it's really well done. It's the way that it switches into that is organic movement to that, but it's just to take it from what I was thinking is very artistic presentation to a really nicely done CGI technical drawing. I'm like,
for 2002, dang.
Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Yep.
So that was my spot on there.
Well, it's one of the interesting things. It is in many ways a very ambitious concept of being very much about your two young lovers, and then this sudden sci-fi angle that, like you say, gets kind of thrown at you, but that then becomes kind of the philosophical core of the story. The idea that, this person is being sent further and further and further away, and thus the messages are taking longer and longer and longer to get back. And so, what does that mean to their relationship? But yeah, what I also find interesting is how smart Shinkai was of saying, I'm going to make a story by myself, make an animation by myself, and I'm going to have these two characters and nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No big crowd scenes, you don't see teachers around. It's we get very focused on these two characters, so he's not trying to do 100 things at once.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of Miyazaki saying that when he and Takahata were working at Toei on various films in the 60s and 70s, one of their ideas was every movie that would come along, they would say, let's use this as an opportunity to get good at this one thing, right? Let's focus on crowd scenes in this movie, and we're going to spend a year and a half working on it. Let's do good crowd scenes in this, and so every one was an opportunity to improve in skills. And I think when you're doing so much at once, finding things to slice off is really smart.
Well, just like the animation with the ship, the Lysander or whatever that big giant ship is. You don't have little people running around on this and stuff going on over there and all that. You know what I mean? It's okay, you're drawing it back to get a much bigger picture, and it it feels like a very large experience going on out there. But boy, that saves a lot of time on the old wrist trying to draw stuff out, digitally render it. You're like, oh god.
John Reicher in the chat is pointing out that this would be probably done faster as you can tween in the software. I don't think there are any tweens in this. I think Shinkai drew everything himself because there are not a lot of tweens. Like it's pretty much just like lip flaps and occasional movement, but you can tell that thing where it's like this tweening would just take so much time, so much effort on this.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense.
Well, I like the use of things where, like, looking at the phone. And boy, those Nokias, that's not a lie. Those things would last forever. I wish I still had my analog Nokia. It was like, oh.
Yeah.
But, going through and showing the messages, you've cut out everything going on around it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's perfectly, great cinematic use.
Yeah.
Focus. You're focusing on this. You're focusing on the message. You're focusing on what's going on here. And you're not animating a lot of crap.
Right, exactly.
Like, aha! So you can limit your animation as long as you have a solid, drive and you know where you're going with that story. Right. And that it doesn't, you notice it after the fact, you're like, wait a minute, there wasn't really anything going on there.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It was just literally text.
Yeah, but you're paying attention to the story.
Right.
You're not concerned about this is animation that looks a little rough. Oh, that's it's like, no.
Absolutely. And it should also be pointed out, like, he still had to like redraw a Nokia phone interface.
Yeah.
Right.
And fantastically too.
Yeah.
Like,
that's exactly right. I do wonder, because at the time, I'm sure there was no way to like screen grab from a Nokia phone. So it's not like you could just, muck something up. Yeah.
I was going to say, the closest grab you could get would literally be, like, I had an Olympus digital camera in the year 2000.
Right, yeah.
That would be about the only way you could grab an image, is literally hold the phone up with the camera and be like, click.
I'll bet there was a day that he spent tracing over that photograph.
Probably.
Right, and just tracing that out, like, okay, now I've got it down here. Speaking of the animation, I do want to point out, like, the animation and like the actual art here is kind of rough. They do that classic mistake of where you draw the shape of the head, and then you basically fill that with hair. Like the hair has no volume; it is just like part of the skull, which is it's an easy mistake to make, but it does happen in this. So again, if you're used to like the polish of a modern Shinkai, it's not there yet.
Well,
it
also
almost looks like the forehead is
on
like
hair.
It looked like the forehead on certain shots was just like flung.
Exactly.
Incline.
Yes. Yeah. They wanted to go like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's an artistic choice.
Sure.
So are some of those perspective issues too.
And actually, an interesting point. To our earlier points, there's clearly a lot of work here to kind of focus in the camera and do stuff like, we're just going to look at a character's mouth or a character's hand or whatever.
Yeah.
And in some ways that is a visually distinctive way of doing things. This is a case where I think it is somewhat overdone. There are certainly shots where it's like, okay, we're cutting between head, hand, space, mecha, all these various things, and I found it a little cluttered sometimes. Not in a like terrible way, but in a way where I'm like, if you could just show us things in perspective of other things, it would be a little easier to follow.
Yeah.
Not terrible, but just one of those things where I'm like, pushing those weird camera angles a bit too much for me.
Well, again, for 7 months worth of like doing this this passion project, I can understand like not throwing caution to the wind,
right?
Because just the monumental effort to do this thing.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to do it, and it's going to be your baby. Well, screw it all. I'm going to do like all kinds of weird things.
Right?
I'm going to jump from this to that, and I'm going to flip around here. And here's how this camera angle is going to work. And like, okay, I got you. If nobody buys it, it doesn't matter because you've done this as your personal project.
Yeah.
If it lights somebody's like fire, and they're like, hey, Shinkai, why don't you come talk to me? Perfect. It's a win-win.
Yeah, and better that than a very bland, generic approach.
Bambi versus Godzilla.
Right.
Womp womp. There you go.
And then the story takes it. Well, so first off, so let's go back a little bit and talk a little bit about some of the sort of anime references in this. Obviously, the opening is very sort of moe harem, canon heir to heart kind of a style.
Yeah.
Not complaining, but very much, this looks like the box art for, a visual novel. And then I'll see if I can find a screen grab of this. Yeah, here we go. When they stop for the train, and the train goes by, and it's all UN spacey.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I had a good laugh about that one. I was just like, oh.
I had to stop it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, did I see that? I'm like, really? Like, okay, cool. I got you. I see where you're going.
We caught that one. But then the end when, spoiler alert, she gets to the alien world, and she has that little conversation there. It goes all effing lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frighteningly. Like, wow.
Talking to a younger version of herself in like a shift, clothing wise, it's very much just like Lane episode 13. Okay, let's go. Very, very interesting, very odd. And it should be pointed out, Lane had come out like a couple of years prior, so it would have been kind of new and in the zeitgeist, if you will, so relatively speaking.
That cutting edge.
Absolutely. And of course, Evangelion was only a few years earlier, and the aliens obviously have an angel vibe.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of being weird, but also just in terms of kind of that visceral combat of blood spurting everywhere.
Yeah. Cutting them in half. Also, that Gundam with the cutting in half with the
Yeah, absolutely.
So it felt very Gundamish.
There was something else in here I noticed that was very Gundam-y. There was some, and I don't remember it now off the top of my head, but some kind of Gundam reference of just like, a pose of a mecha or something. It was like, oh, okay, that's calling back to Zeta or something. So, yeah, definitely. I would say even just like maybe not. I would say the way she uses the gun, even though it's hand mounted, in Gundam it's often kind of that extra thing that you pull in, which okay, wait. You use the Vulcans. Felt that way.
I got a unfortunate pilot candidate vibe from the enemy, because it just reminded me from the enemy, because first of all, the animation and one of the attacks that it uses where it encircles her mecha.
Oh yeah.
That kind of a thing, and then a little eye comes out, just blink, looks at you, and that reminded me of some of the elements of Pilot Candidate, where it's just like it which is technically a Gundam spinoff, but very loosely, folks, very loosely. Yeah. I saw that, I was just like, oh, okay. But yeah, and the blood splatter did remind me of Evangelion.
Yeah.
And
her outfit kind of reminds me of Pilot Candidate too, for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And when she talked to herself, her younger self or whatever, I kind of just went, oh no, stop. Wait, okay, come on. Let's rewind this a little bit. And I actually rewinded the anime a little bit. And I said, okay, let's watch this again. I'm going, so is this the aliens talking to her? Is this her talking to her? Is this because you'll see him again? I'm like thinking, no, I'm thinking not. I mean, the messages keep getting farther and farther and farther, and and it's just kind of like, all right, not sure what that psychosis is, but something definitely happened there.
Mm-hmm. And you have a couple of things that going on there. You have, 15-year-old girl spending a year in space. Alone fighting, not even fighting an alien. Like there's 6 months where they're just traveling.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, it could absolutely be just kind of she's having a bit of a mental break right now. I also think it kind of ties into sort of classic sci-fi concepts of who knows what this world is doing to her. What weird energies are emanating off the planet, what psychic attacks the aliens are doing to her that is causing, just weird sort of fantasies to ripple out in her head. Who knows? But yeah, it is definitely kind of an, okay, this is taking a turn, kind of a moment.
Well, it reminded me of what we talked about before, the book called, is it Forever War? I keep screwing the title up.
Haldeman Forever War. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, this idea of like, I'm still 15, and by the time you get this message, you're 24.
Yeah.
The girl who leapt through time? Space. The girl who leapt through space. Same kind of concept, where it's like, you're going out, and you, in your relative time frame, are the same age you are. Yeah. But now that you've gone out X number of light years, trying to come back, it's like, and I think it was a girl who leapt through space where she comes back finally to Earth.
Okay.
To find like it's like 1,000 years later.
I think you're thinking Gunbuster.
Yeah.
Is it Gunbuster?
Gunbuster is
It might
definitely
be
that.
Yeah. No, it's that. You're right.
Yeah.
It's Gunbuster.
I was gonna bring up Gunbuster. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know here you've got that kind of concept where it's like you'll see him again. It's like probably not. Like
No.
you might see his children or his children's children, but it's
Right.
you know it's not going to be like the same kid.
Yeah, it was the premise of the end of Arthur C. Clarke's Songs from Distant Earth, where the ship goes from the one planet where they stop, and don't want to spoil it because it's a really good book, but they go on and they are not quite faster than light ship. And so everyone's in cryostasis. And so when he gets out of it, and it's the end of the book, when he gets out of it, one of the characters gets out of it. And it's kind of like, oh, actually, this happened in Interstellar too, where he sits down and he starts going through the messages, and he's watching the former girlfriend grow older, having children, and and these messages keep coming and coming. And, you know, he's really objectively only a year older than from when he left, like 400 years prior. You know, and you know, so seeing all that stuff. So as this is like, you know, as the time stretches out when God bless the Nokia phones, you know, messaging, but a Nokia phone, and you know, I can only presume that even then the signal had to be boosted somehow.
Oh yeah.
But you know, but you know, it's you know, it's that thing where the poor guy at the end, you know, on Earth, he's just like, do I move on? Do I wait? Do I, you know, how do I handle this?
And that's really I think the emotional power of the film,
right?
Is this idea of being stuck for both of them, and him going, do I wait 8 years for this girl? Having no idea, you know, what's going to happen next, if I'll even receive another message from her, if she's dead.
Yeah.
You know, but also realizing I'm all she has.
Yeah.
Like, what weight on a teenager to go,
yeah,
but like she needs you. You know? But it's like, but I can't be there for you know.
Yeah, and the weight on a teenager, by the time, you know, that 8 years passes, oh, I'm 15, right. You're 24 by now. And it's like, he's an adult and like doing adult things, and it's like, you know, kudos to him that he has the wherewithal to sort of keep at this, because that youthful, oh, you know, we were young and she was cute, we had this great time, and then she left. It's like, you know, he's a good guy for still keeping in the loop, despite the fact that, you know what I mean, he has moved on in relativist way.
So while you were just talking about that, John, and spot on, I suddenly got Alphaville Forever Young.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that.
Alphaville? Oh.
Not quite. So here's the thing. First off, do you think Mikako survived that battle?
I do not.
At the end. Do you think he knows? Because we see the newspaper by his door, which talks about the fleet and like how the fleet was attacked and it was really bad and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like, you know, does he know she's dead at the end? And for those who haven't seen it yet, by the way, it's left ambiguous, right? Like there's a big battle. Right, yeah. She's kind of left floating there. You know, you don't know. You're not meant to know. I'm asking just kind of from you know where are you leaning from what you saw? Yeah.
Well, I think that newspaper article in the context of Japanese historical experience, would be a similar article posted about when the Yamato sailed out on its last voyage. That it is, the fleet has left, fantabulous victory, there's been some damage, but we're doing okay.
Right.
And look how that went. And I think that's to, at least in my mind, it kind of clicked as like, this is your kind of call back to that people would be like, oh yeah, propaganda.
Right.
Propaganda is not going to tell you what happened. He has no like objective means of determining, did the Lysander like explode? Is she dead? Did what happened in the entirety of the fleet? Nobody's going to really tell you the honest goodness truth. So now is that sort of pinpoint moment where it's like, does he just cut it and run and say, okay, now I'm free. I can go on and move on with my life. Or am I still going to be in limbo from here on out? And it's just like,
But that's the other interesting thing, is that he has not moved on.
Right.
He's decided to join the fleet, the implication being that maybe their paths will cross. Maybe. Right. Yeah, and that's... go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say is I don't think she lived through the battle. I think that when again we see all the we see all the newspaper stories and saying the propaganda, but there's that ominous undercurrent of this damage happened, and I think he's coming to terms with the fact that maybe something has happened. Finally gets into the fleet. He's going to go out there, and as she's thinking, as he's thinking, he's like, if we could just communicate the one thing, just the one little thing to each other to make this all worthwhile, is the statement is, I am here. Yeah. Just to let the other person know, no, I'm still here. It's okay. No, please stay in contact with me. I'm still here. But they can't do that, so you don't know that. And then there's that image of her floating off into space and in the damaged mecha, and it's just kind of like, no, I don't think she made it. I don't think she made it, but he'll find out. But there will be, at least the one sad takeaway I had was like, regardless, he's going to have some type of resolution. The time between the two points are going to get closer together again, as opposed to going away as he's approaching her, so that the time, it's not making up for lost time, but the time that they're going to be spending away from each other is there. And then he'll have some type of resolution. Either she is going to be there or she's going to be dead, and then there's the finality of it.
Yeah, presumably once he's in the military and they get going towards that direction, the truth will come out.
Right.
Of like, okay, here you go, guys. The Lysander was badly damaged, as in everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The ship's floating out there somewhere, but everybody's dead. So the fleet's gone. But we're going to go get them.
One thing I really like about his sort of ending, so to speak, is the fact that on the one hand, like, he wants to go back out in space, right? But on the other, like, he's making a choice. He's not just sitting in his room waiting for that call, that message over and over again, like we saw earlier in the short. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm going to make steps, move on, do something, but it's also doing something that gives us a chance. So there was a clever way of kind of helping them reconnect. I like that, John Ryer. My heart tells me she's still alive. Like, I want her to still be alive. That's kind of my sappy version of the story. I was like, no, I don't. My headcanon is she's still alive. But I think the story, but I think it's also kind of like the end of Inception, right? Like, you're not supposed to. It's not supposed to tell you one way or the other. It's up to you to decide. Right. But I this is a case where I like that, where I think thinking about the implications of both options are viable and important and useful ways of thinking about the story, because that is kind of what the story is about, is loss, or potential loss.
Right.
Which I think works well. Or as John Ryer says, or they'll meet together, or at least some version of her, something that looks like her.
As long as she doesn't revert to Tang, then he should be
Exactly, yeah.
I was gonna say, if I was gonna fan fiction this, the Lysander gets blown up. She floats through space. She makes friends with the aliens, and they have a meeting of the minds.
Mm-hmm.
She's the first contact with them that solves the problem of this intergalactic war, and then they meet up, and fanfic all the way to a happy ending.
Yes.
And that's Shinkai never came back to it. Then there you go.
Ender's Game. There's also an Ender's Game.
Yeah,
That's an interesting point. Yeah. Or perhaps Speaker to the Dead. My mind was definitely going in those directions of, oh no, they'll see each other again, please. Whatever.
As opposed to his ship coming out of like warp and then her like frozen encrusted mecha bounces off the windshield. No!
This is not
still clutching the Nokia phone.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, why?
I don't think so. Well,
so cold.
It's one of the interesting things about Makoto Shinkai films is that they are always about romance, but they're never like Harlequin romances, right? It's always about this complication of like love is hard and love is weird and love doesn't always work out and like that's okay, like you move on. And it's why I think the story works so well because it has this kind of complicated relationship to that relationship, if you will. Captain Laser Eyes says, "I don't understand the alien war. Why go across the universe to fight them?" Yeah, that's never really explained in the story. The implication is aliens they say the aliens showed up on I think Mars and attacked Mars, and so the implication is we need to take the fight to them to make sure they don't hurt us. But it's never really explained.
Well, there is one moment there where they're out by Pluto where it's like, there's an alien, fleet or a group of aliens. Let's hit warp. It's like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. If there's my Pluto when you leave, you get the whole fleet. What about Earth? Y'all want to stop and think about that for a minute? Just like when the Yamato was fighting the Gamelons. Do you fight them at Pluto and then leave, or do you fight them and then remove them from Pluto?
Everything comes back to Yamato.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Any other thoughts on Voices of a Distant Star?
For somebody who's passion project, I think he did a fine job.
Yeah, I would like him to revisit it and make it into a 4-episode OVA.
Yeah.
I would really like him to not necessarily for a resolution. I just feel like we have a good skeleton of a story here, and I think that we could draw that out a little bit more and it'd still be the same story but just more flesh to it.
Gunbuster,
and
right?
Right, Gunbuster.
Yeah.
And now that he has these really good skills, animation skills, you can redo that and still I think have a really nice anime actually. I think that would.
Oh yeah.
Yoko Kanno can do the score and anyway.
Well, I think certainly if you could, add that the male protagonist, there's a harem of all other kinds of girls, and it's all these lolly moe things. They're all going to go into space, and he's got to choose which girl to talk to on the Nokia. I see this could go great places.
Makoto Shinkai for April Fools should totally release like a 30-second teaser. Congrats! I'm going back to the well.
Voices of a Distant Star, the harem. Damn it!
No, that's not what we wanted.
You asked for more. I'm gonna give you what you didn't ask for.
In cooperation with NTT Docomo and Love Live School Project.
And the aliens fight back by singing.
Right, exactly.
Oh man! And the whole thing's resolved with a stage play. No, damn it, no.
It's all resolved with NFTs. Yeah, you have to buy NFTs to actually help them win the war. That's how all gets funded.
No, God, that was awful. Pledge now to save humanity.
Exactly.
But I want my McDonald's, not humanity.
So that is Voice of Innocent Star. Again, animation rough around the edges, but totally understandable.
Solid story, though. Solid.
Very solid story. Really well put together, really well thought out, and really, really just impressive all the way around. And that's what we're saying in the chat. Just really engaging, right? It's one of those things where you pop on, you're like, okay, whatever, and then you're pulled in for 25 minutes, like you're watching this whole thing.
Yeah.
So good on them there.
If I had known about this would have been on my panel list.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other advantage, 25 minutes long. So it's not
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
watch. Just pick it up.
It is easy to knock out.
Exactly. So yeah, that's Voice of Innocent Star. Thank you all for watching. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few minutes to talk about more modern anime and the latest anime news. We will be right back. welcome back, everyone. Let's take a moment, a little breather, to talk about the anime we've been watching. Folks in the chat, please let us know what you've been watching lately, or manga reading, what have you. And any questions you have for the three of us. And John, how about you?
Catching up on the second season of Arufueta,
Okay.
which I enjoyed the first season, so I was very stoked to see that they had a second season. I'm like, yay! And then I really am enjoying the realist hero who like fixed the kingdom thing.
Yeah.
I know there's a new series this season that's a very similar premise about the king who wants to sell his kingdom and get out of the out of the business. It's a very kind of similar premises, but I really like the realist hero because it is a little more grounded about like the economic and cultural aspects and how do you deal with your neighbors and all this other stuff. It's kind of fun to watch.
Cool.
And then just generally trying to station keep with all the current season. You know, the
so hard to do.
Yeah, Bisque doll. I'm really enjoying watching somebody who's a doll maker who can make clothes work with somebody who's a cosplayer who needs clothes made. I'm like, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I do, but it's like it's just so cute. You know, it's a really neat thing.
Cool.
And then Sabisco, the one that sort of reminds me of Doro Hey Doro. It's just really weird. It's a really weird show.
Okay.
But trying to keep up. I'm desperately trying to keep up.
Cool. Steve, about you?
So, as my voice breaks,
Puberty.
yeah, puberty at my age, great. No, so I've been kind of just like re-looking at anime for the Oncon 7 panel.
Cool.
Yeah, stuff like that. So I've been watching stuff like, just like, just real quickly, just rehashing Gloomy Bear, looking at, This is the Bottleneck and a couple other things like that. And then there was one that I remember having seen, I want to say 2004 Otakon. And I hadn't seen it since. I totally forgot about it. And as I'm just kind of going through things, choosing what I want for the panel list, Twinkle Heart.
Why have I heard that before?
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but that could just be one of those things.
Yeah, it was this one episode that was supposed to be the pilot episode for an OVA.
Okay. Oh,
and it never
got.
Right. Okay. So I don't want to get into it because I'm going to talk about it into the panel.
Yeah.
But it was this thing.
Tune in for the panel.
Tune in to the panel. It's one of those things, John, where the first version I could only find was in Japanese with no subtitles, and I still got it. But I still got it.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
and
it is possible. It is possible.
And, I still got it, and then I found the subbed version or the dubbed version, I think somewhere on YouTube, night before last, and it's just like I'm like watching it. It's just like one. It's brilliant, but it's so. All right. Yeah.
Wow.
Let me just throw this out there for Chatland. God and his two daughters. No Jesus, but God and his two daughters.
I'll give you the Anime Planet summary. God's two daughters, Cherry and Lemon, have been tasked with finding the lost treasure of heaven, which is referred to as love.
Love.
Together with their guardian, Barry, I think I get this, what they did there.
Yes.
Their search takes them to a planet where stuffed animals have come to life.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Fever dream anime work.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
So 1980s. Yeah. So 1980s.
Wow.
So
Who thought that Timothy Leary couldn't make an anime?
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Or Timothy Leary's like 8-year-old daughter.
Oh, who's been drinking from daddy's wine glass?
Yeah,
oh boy. Is it like 20 minutes long? It's relatively short, isn't it?
It's about a half hour. Yeah, it's I think a regular episode.
Okay.
Okay.
About a half hour or so, give or take. So I'll be talking more about that at the panel.
Wow.
So so that's kind of just what. So unfortunately, I had to put I can't communicate on hold. But I'll get back to that because it's just adorable, and I just am waiting for the merch because oh my god. Anyway, because I just can't. She's just too cute. So as I was kind of looking around at things today, I know last week I said I would help with the auction, give the Iron Chef cookbook for auction.
Up
When I get down there,
auction.
There
we go.
Yes. And so as I was kind of looking for more stuff to get rid of because you guys have been a good influence on me on my level of grabbing things and just for no apparent reason. And so if I'm multiple copies of stuff. So one of the things I found, I'm keeping it because I have to, because now that I watched it again. But I was just like going, oh my God, I don't remember this. Wait, yeah, I kind of remember this. I was drunk when I bought this, I'm pretty sure. And but I watched it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wait a minute, what am I looking at?
Galaxy Angel.
Galaxy Angel.
Galaxy Angel. Wow. Where did you pick that up?
Otakon.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was an early Otakon. That's like probably 2005, 2006.
Yeah. There's probably no Otakon between like the year 2000 and 2015. You could not find a copy of Galaxy Angel
right
on the bottom rack somewhere, because no one else bought it.
This would literally be
then
like
Steve happened.
Yeah.
and then I was just like, what's
sticker.
this? That's why I say I was drunk, because I have no idea. I knew nothing about it. So obviously, this was exactly as Brent described it. Clearly, this was probably, I was like at the digital media guy or digital cuts guy way in the back there, and just kind of going through stuff and going, $1.09, got it. What's it about? Don't care. It's $1.09.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Turns out it's a remake of Voices of Innocent Star.
Yeah.
It's actually the harem. No.
It's the harem part. Oh, hooray!
Yeah. And it's cute, and I managed to watch the disc. I think it's only the one disc here, and I watched it, and I was just like going, well, that was the thing. All right.
Well,
as Brent put,
go ahead.
As Brent put it, it's very early 2000. I'm like, oh yes, yes it is.
Well, and there was like a TV series and a couple of OVAs and maybe a movie or something. Like its whole little mini franchise for a while.
Well, I had a video game.
It was a thing.
It was a video game too, I think.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if you're trying to build an impressive anime collection and have a wall of anime boxes, sometimes you get ones that, are okay.
And it's fun, Yeah, nothing wrong with Galaxy Angel. Absolutely.
It makes me now want to watch some of it to figure it out. Let's see what you got here. Voices of a Distant Star harem version. Oh, yes, let's watch this. This will be very funny.
I did not watch anything that was technically anime this week, but I watched something that is very anime adjacent. The final Rurouni Kenshin film, live action film.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
And I have thoughts. And I'm going to try not to bore people with this. As I mentioned before, so there are a total of 4 movies. The first 3 are basically perfect. And by that I mean, like, you might disagree with some of the decisions they make, but you can always be like, I understand why they made those decisions. Like, that was a clear decision. They went this way, I would have gone that way, but fair enough. And the second movie has possibly my favorite sword fight scene in film. Anyway, the third movie does a slightly weird thing with a really important scene, which caught me off guard in a way where I was like, I wouldn't have done that, and I don't know why they did it that way. So it was kind of the one little, of those 3 movies.
So it never, like at the end of the whole film, it didn't like lock into why they made that choice, or
correct.
It just that was what it was.
I still don't know after watching that why they made that choice in that, and I want to avoid spoilers because it is like the key moment in the entire franchise. It is the whole thing of why everything happened, basically, and they just made some decisions in the scene and like how people are portraying and acting them. It's like, I don't know why you did that. Anyway, but again, whatever. Can't complain too much. The fourth movie is not a train wreck, but they decided to streamline the story dramatically. In the original manga, you have Kenshin, the hero. You have Snosuke, who is this fighter who becomes Kenshin's kind of younger brother type. You know, he's going along with him, helping him out a lot. He's very much the brash hero. You have Yahiko, who is a little kid who looks up to Kenshin and wants to be like him. Which, as you can imagine, Kenshin is worried about. Because that's not necessarily a great thing to be. And you also have Kaoru, who is Kenshin's sort of love interest, who is caught in this weird place where she is an actual, like, kendo instructor, but she is way below everyone else in terms of, like, skill and ability. Just in terms of, like, she has not spent a decade, you know, actually fighting people with swords. So she just does not have the experience and skill. So she has this kind of odd situation with her. The story in the manga, the final storyline that they follow, deals with Kenshin's backstory and the results of that, and has roles for all of those characters to play. So Snosuke deals a lot with his hot-headedness and what that means and how he has improved as a character. Yahiko finds a place for himself where he can be pushing forward and trying to be better in a mature way. You know, and it's not just, I want to be strong. What does that mean exactly? Right? And so we do all that. And we get stuff with Kenshin, and we get stuff with Kaoru, and kind of what her relationship is with Kenshin, and, like, you know, what is her strength, all that kind of stuff. The movie is just Kenshin. The live-action movie is just Kenshin's storyline. None of the rest of it happens. The other characters are kind of in it, barely kind of in the background, but they get none of that character development. And it's like, okay, again, I can kind of understand why they did that, but it just feels disappointing. And further, there are also, like, actual plot element things that I still don't understand why they did it that way. As an example, and I don't think this is an important spoiler. One of the main characters gets kidnapped by the villain. In the manga, that person is now on an island, a remote island with the villain that he's like set up as his kind of lair. And there are these like sheer cliffs down to the water. There's a supply ship once a week. Like, you can't get out of here. Like, you know, even if you get out of your room. Like, so this person is given free reign of the island because whatever, you know, you can't escape. And that's what they kind of establish early on. So Kenshin has to come to this person, has to find the resources to get to this person, bring everyone along, and have the showdown kind of in the villain's lair. In the movie, well, he also has, like, bases, obviously, like, in Japan proper. In the movie, he has a base in Japan proper. We then, which we see him interacting with, he then kidnaps this person. We have that whole scene of that person waking up on the island, running out to a cliff, seeing it's a cliff, trying to escape, can't escape. He says, ha ha ha, you can't escape. We then come back, and Kenshin goes to, or discovers that this person is still in Japan, in one of their bases in Japan, and he goes there and fights the villain, and as he's fighting the villain, this person walks down the stairs, because they're apparently in Japan now, and that's it. Like, there's no explanation of, like, how they got back from the island, why they went to the island in the first place, why even have the island, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, but they're just back in Japan the entire time, and that's fine. Like, to be clear, I would rather them say that whole plot line is just too much for us to handle. There's too much detail, and we have to go that, like, just cut it all out. That's fine, but they kind of did both, and it's just like, I don't understand. So it's those sorts of things where, like, it's not like it's not entertaining. it's enjoyable, but some of the pieces just don't quite connect in a way.
It's the Kenshin multiverse.
Right, yeah.
Well, just doing something like that doesn't even sound like, oh no, it's just because, Brent, you really know the manga and the live action is just different.
Right.
No, that just sounds like a continuity issue.
Exactly.
Like that is
Yeah.
just plain filmmaking problem, not plot problem.
Right, exactly.
And that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I was watching this and going, oh, I really wish they'd done all this stuff. And then I realized that's just me as a Kenshin fan. That's me as a Kenshin fan saying, I wish they had time to do all the stuff. They don't. Fine, fair enough. I can live with that. But it's there's other things with some of the other fights that happen where I'm like, that why even have those characters fight when that's the result of that? That's kind of thing where it's like, it's a fun fight scene, but there's no like actual resolution to it. So that's unfortunate. But I will say it is thoroughly entertaining. If the others are an A+, this is like a B+. Right? It's still up there, enjoyable. You'll totally enjoy it. There's just a couple of like weird little structural things. I will also say, my other kind of criticism of the film, which is just kind of whatever, but I think is important, is that, as I mentioned before, Rurouni Kenshin poses this fundamental philosophical question over the course of the story. Namely, if you have done terrible things, and you know you have done terrible things, how do you attempt to atone for that? Truthfully and realistically. Like, not jail time. Right?
Right.
And the manga does come to that answer in the end. It does say, here's what you do. It's not hard, or it's not easy. You may never, complete it in your lifetime, but this is the answer to this thing. And it makes sense. The movie never gives you that. It poses the question, and it goes back and forth between the various characters, but decides not to give you that answer at the end. Which I just found kind of weird. For a thing which is kind of essentially, relatively few lines of dialogue to kind of get this across to the audience, that's disappointing. And I'll say the manga gives you a denouement with what happens afterwards. Kind of what are the fates of everyone. The movie does not. I'm fine with that, but just if you are
a completist.
The movie gives you a satisfying ending of, okay, villain taken care of, emotionally we are there, but you don't get that sense of, and then is everyone going to be okay in the future? It's still like a satisfying ending of, okay, we're done, right? Yeah. But it just doesn't have that quite same sense of tying a bow on the end. And again, I'm not complaining about that. I think that is a valid film choice, but just in case you're looking for that, it's not there. Okay. So, but again, if you're at all interested in either Kenshin or amazingly done live action adaptations of anime, I recommend this, and just be aware that the final movie has some structural issues. Basically.
They said the same thing about Dragon Ball Z, the live action film.
No, they did not. No. Nobody said to watch those movies.
Nobody ever said that about that.
For as much of a dumpster fire as that one was, it still will never, and this is a good thing, beat Death Note. That was just...
Yeah. As you've said before. Like, oh boy.
Well, and, lest we forget, there was also an Asian live action version of Dragon Ball.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That exists. That's a thing. Oh yeah.
Never watched it.
Made like in 1992.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Imagine the budget they had. Nothing.
I might have to find this.
It is worth. I have a copy. We may have to screen this at some point. It's impressive. It's just like, oh dear. Goku's also.
Am I going to be reduced again to going? I can't. As tears are streaming down my eyes, laughing uncontrollably.
Yeah. Goku is played by a female actor.
See, there we go. I'm about to. I mean, who knows?
Okay.
I don't know.
It's just, as a boy, like Goku is male in the story, but
right?
Played, but it's choices were made.
Yeah.
Basically, imagine a mediocre episode of Power Rangers in terms of like special effects quality. That's what you get.
Oh, ouch. Mentally, that sounds painful. Oh, cow.
Although I will say, Master, what's his name? Master Yoshi? Master Roshi?
Roshi.
Yoshi, yeah.
That guy understood that character. Like, he nails pervy old man in a way that just is really impressive. Where it's like, yep, you've got, you know, and like martial arts master, but also like okay, yep, like, well done. This is a live action version of that character, I guess.
Oscar worthy considering like the rest of the film.
Whew. Yeah.
That film was just a vehicle for his talent.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Well, you know, that could be, right? There are so many things. I'm trying to see. Oh, there we go. Nope, that's not it. I'm trying to find a copy of this, or a reference to this. List of Dragon Ball films. That's going to be a long list. TV specials, OVA, PSA, no, they don't list it. That's weird. Wow, has this been erased from history? I wonder.
That's what I'm thinking. Once the franchise took off and all the money started dumping in, they went and bought all copies and destroyed them.
Well, the thing is, I think it may have been like a Korean co-production or something along those lines, as I recall. Like a Chinese co-production, something like that, where it's like, it was a complicated rights issue thing, so maybe one of those things was not really Dragon Ball, even though the name's, I don't know. But yeah, I'll see if I can find it and throw it in chat at some point.
Wagon crawl.
Yeah.
What? It sounds close, but it's not any copyright violation.
Great Green Serpent Circle.
Yes.
Is that, did I find
Light
it?
and Run Away.
Found it. Oh my.
Oh?
I did find it. I think.
What's the name you
1991.
see?
Magic Begins.
The Magic Begins. Yes, that's it.
Oh,
Dragon Ball. Magic Begins.
Magic
1991.
The Magic Begins.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the one.
It's on IMDb.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my.
And it looks like
wow.
it is...
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it looks like it is on YouTube. Not surprisingly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Completely illegitimate ways, but yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip.
Dude looks like Hunter S. Thompson with an asparagus stick. I mean,
pretty much. Which I mean, that's Roshi. Pretty much. It's
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird. Y'all hear that? I just realized that's the wrong opening, but that's okay. Welcome to the latest anime news for the week ending February 5th, 2022. The Hat is on vacation this week.
Ooh.
Let us begin with... You knew it had to happen. Like it or not, it's difficult to find any industry that's not getting into NFTs these days, and anime is no exception. But these are interesting. Anime studio Fanworks and online store Tokyo Otaku Mode, you may have heard of, announced this week they've teamed up with a startup incubator named Tsukria and a content company called The Battle to create an anime of an existing NFT project called Crypto Ninja. It'll launch with a promotional anime video by Fanworks, with companies do want to produce a full-fledged anime as well. The Crypto Ninja project was actually produced last year, and it's Japan's most active NFT project with 150 Ether involved. That's about $430,000, earned from a community of less than 10,000 fans and creators. And this is basically a project to create good NFTs, like good-looking NFTs. So the idea is, it's kind of like I'm forgetting the name of it, the Bored Ape project. It's kind of like that, but instead of like just auto-generating these images, it's actually like fan art. So they're reaching out to people saying, you draw cool fan art, we will make an NFT of that, and you make money off of that NFT. So I'm like, okay, so you're getting money to creators, and the NFT itself, like, looks good. Like, I can kind of understand at least the connections there. Toei Animation also announced this week it's producing an anime based on an NFT project. This one stems from an NFT collection of artworks from a 9-year-old boy called Zombie Zookeeper. The boy created the art collection Zombie Zoo as a summer vacation research project. It's basically pixel art he does on like an iPad. And he now sells the pixel art as NFTs with the help of his mother, who is also an artist. Toei stated that the boy and his artwork became the face of the NFT art scene in Japan, and explained that they, quote, started this project because we want to support and create animators that reflect children's creativity as it is, end quote. And these are very, 9-year-old boy pixel art drawings. Just to be clear. The company plans this to be just the first project and a plan to partner with more creators and develop animation franchises based off of NFT artwork. So this is what makes this kind of interesting to me, is it's not simply saying we're going to like make an anime, make NFTs out of it. We're going to look at the NFT world that exists and kind of make anime out of that. Which I think is interesting. Yeah.
It seems to be a little bit of a convoluted process, but okay. Yeah.
Let's wait and see.
Like I literally almost feel like just like slathering paint on my hand and slapping it on a piece of paper and taking a picture of it
Go
to Ethereum. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it. I think you should.
And well, I've been trying to get on it, but it's one of those things where you can't just like do the thing. There's money involved. You have to you have to pay to get it onto the site. You have to be you have to buy into a portion of the currency.
Gotcha.
In order to do this. And of course it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, you can do 40% of one Ethereum. Well, how much is one Ethereum? Right? Okay. So it's like
not pennies.
Yeah, so you put it up there and you hope that somebody buys it, which is fine, because if they do, then everybody makes money. And then I have the original artwork, and then this person has the original data blockchain art.
Sure. Yep.
And as long as the URL stands up, then it's theirs, and they can do whatever the hell they want to do with it. And then somebody's going to make an anime of my life.
There we are. Absolutely.
And that's how we do this. Okay.
This is how I see this. If somebody wants to pay me $20,000 for a URL, sure. I'll get in on that.
I mean, why not? Seriously, why not? But okay. I mean, you're right. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the scene in The Big Short, which is about the 2008 collapse of the mortgage bubble. Real estate bubble. Yeah. And one of the things is that one of the characters comes in, plays one of the people architects of the bubble crashing, where he goes, yeah, I want to buy these mortgages because I think the housing market's going to fail, and then you're going to pay me the money when it fails. And the banks are just laughing at him, and Wall Street's laughing at him, and one of the people goes, so this is Wall Street. This is free money. We'll take your money if you want to give it to us. And that's how I feel about this. I'm like, you want to pay? Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's your money, I guess. But
John Ryher in chat just has the perfect description of it. They're tulip bulbs. NFTs are tulip bulbs. Yes. Right.
Wait till that puppy blows. Jesus.
People legitimately are willing to spend.
On. That is spot on.
Absurd amount of cash for this.
Exactly right.
There is a market for it. But it's just
good analogy.
Yes,
great analogy. Jesus,
exactly right. So odd.
I'm just gonna stick with asking random strangers for pocket change. This works so much better for me.
This is the thing. I was actually reading up. Somebody made an interesting point this week. And they're talking basically about investment and finance and so forth. And they said it is totally reasonable to look at cryptocurrency and NFTs and say this is completely chaotic, This is non-predictable. You know, I am not going to put my retirement in this. On the other hand, saying, because this is unpredictable and chaotic, I am going to completely ignore it, is leaving money on the table. You know, why not throw $50 into Dogecoin? Right? And if it dies and goes away, that's fine. It's basically gambling. But if you make 200% on that, great. You know, why not ride the wave? I was like, that's a really good point. Like, you know, it's not a terrible idea to dip your toe in the water, you know, and just play around with this thing and see what happens, right?
Right.
Well, there has now gone from 1 to 3 Bitcoin machines in my neighborhood where you can put in cash and, you know, you get the whatever percentage of Bitcoin depending on how much cash you put in.
Yep.
And, you know, so you can do that, I guess. But I would love to see the guy who actually has the value of like an Ethereum or a Bitcoin just standing in front of the machine. Another 100, another 100, and not get mugged.
Right.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the guy who threw away a hard drive that contained like 1,000 Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the $130 million worth of
Yeah.
hard drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. What if somebody finds that?
Yeah. Let us move on to more understandable news. Last week brought us the Ghibli Park's official opening date, and this week brings the opening of the park's official website. It revealed an official visual of the Ghibli's Grand Warehouse area as seen above, but I'm betting people want to see it in all of its glory. Mentioned last week, the park is built within an existing park and forest and contains no big attractions or rides. Rather, guests are encouraged to, quote, take a stroll, feel the wind, and discover the wonders.
Play with Totoro.
Exactly.
You know what it is? You know
Ask
what's going to
Miyazaki
be?
for directions to the cafe.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's going to be like the old Disney thing that I don't think exists anymore. All the animators are going to be in there, and it's just going to be us walking through, just like, you know, looking down the
what was
glass,
it?
looking at it.
Behind the art.
Behind the art, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, looking at the animators and going, knocking on the window, going, hey, draw Totoro, draw Totoro.
Yeah, exactly.
Just watching it, just go like that.
So, if this were America, they would have people dressed up as Hayao Miyazaki walking around the park. And I'm like, thank you for not doing that. I'm just going to say, no.
Is that Takahata over behind that box? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is he real or is he an actor? I don't know.
Animatronic, you know, animators. Just,
Yeah.
Animatronic, you know, Miyazaki giving out chainsaws to kids. There you go.
Just insert this paper in the automatronic Miyazaki, and he'll draw you a picture after 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how long do we have to wait? Oh, just keep waiting. His ideas are coming.
I'm just imagining, you know, stick the coin into the Hayao Miyazaki thing. Goro Miyazaki can't make movies. Goro Miyazaki can't make movies. It's like, oh, gee, give it a rest. Also this week, news we wanted to touch on. A new original anime is coming in April from Wit Studio called Onipan. The story of love, friendship, and underpants. That's what they say. Features an original story concept from the director and head writer of The Ancient Magus' Bride.
Oh, good cheese, really?
It takes place in a world where Oni demons and humans coexist. Follows 3 Oni girls in a Tokyo middle school as they try to improve the image of Oni using a key powerful item, Oni underpants,
Of course.
or Onipan.
Sounds like a Chubra for Oni.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's Chubra for Oni. Which,
well, you know, we're
the
going to end
merch-
up watching it when it comes
Yeah.
when it comes to
Yeah,
the new
exactly.
season.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
having to watch the first episode of it. So,
all for it.
Well, that's going to be a fun merch store.
Buy your middle schooler under.
Yes.
Onipon, anyone? Shut up.
We'll come across another guy at one of these conventions going, yeah, I'm getting that body pillow for my daughter.
Well, you see, the thing is, Oni age at a very different rate. So if you're middle school, you're actually like 30. So it's all okay.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good.
Warner
Standards
Brothers
and practices high. I need to have a word with you.
Thankfully, it doesn't exist in Japan. Warner Brothers Japan announced this week that Kazushi Hagiwara's heavy metal and D&D inspired, I'm going to have to say it, bastard fantasy action manga, because it is literally about a person who is, it's bloodlines. Getting a new anime that will premiere worldwide on Netflix sometime this year. The manga is serialized irregularly since 1988 and is one of Shueisha's best-selling manga series of all time, despite having not released a new chapter since 2010.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Lord.
Those of you familiar with the original the anime adaptation will know it's also very bloody. Just blood everywhere.
Heavy metal, like heavy metal, as in like the anime film, or heavy metal as in like heavy metal the music.
As in like a lot of heavy metal references, as I recall, like characters named after that, and named after songs and references to all that kind of stuff.
I'm Sir Metallica.
You got
Oh, cool. How you
yeah.
doing? Meet my friend Rat. Oh,
I have no idea what that reference is.
terrible 80s hair man.
Gotcha.
Round and round.
Moving on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Shin-Ei Animation of Doraemon and Crayon Shin-chan fame, and illustrator Kana Hei have announced a new original TV anime titled Chimimo to premiere in July. It's a heartwarming comedy following the titular Chimimo, who, despite his adorable appearance, is actually a messenger of hell and a shape-shifting demon.
Of course.
Of course, he and 11 others were sent to turn a human world into hell, but he ends up becoming a freeloader to a human family instead. Yeah, it's kind of the devil's
Well,
advocate
that
crossed
could
with
be a
media.
different kind of hell.
True.
Could be a different kind of hell.
Bandai Namco and Sunrise have jointly announced a new franchise, High Drivers. I want you to guess what kind of franchise this is.
It's about people driving?
Yes! It'll feature input from multiple Japanese automotive brands. Honda, Subaru, Toyota, and Nissan are all working on this, in collaboration with production companies to develop the franchise through mixed media, including dedicated social media channels, emphasizing viewer participation like YouTube and Twitter. More info at Anime Japan Expo in March. Could be interesting.
Okay.
I'm betting the cars will be accurate, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Netflix confirmed on Tuesday the Hollywood live-action adaptation of One Piece is officially in production. I can think of no better anime for live action. The Netflix Geeked Twitter account posted a couple photos of the cast hanging out and photos of on-set chairs and that kind of stuff. My Anime List will be hosting its Mal Expo Light online event from February 17th to 25th, and revealed this week that a panel-style talk event will be held on the 25th with studios Production IG and Wit Studio. It'll stream on YouTube starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And it'll feature an anime production talk session with the chief animation director and executive producer of Legend of the Galactic Heroes Dainuitis, as well as a Q&A session with the president of Wit Studio, George Wada, celebrating the studio's 10th anniversary. So that's pretty exciting.
That'll be interesting.
Absolutely. Wit Studio was sort of a spin-off of Production IG, for what it's worth. It animated the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan, which is kind of its real big thing, and then it moved on to animate things like Ancient Majesty's Bride, After the Raid, Vinland Saga, Ranking of Kings, and of course the upcoming Onipon.
That's going to be what it's known for the rest of
Exactly.
it.
Yes.
All the other franchises will burn.
Watch Onipon become like Dragon Ball. Watch that become like just just everyone watch it. It becomes like the keystone of anime.
Kids all going to school with backpacks with Onipon on them, be like,
So how did you get into anime? Oh, I watched this great show, Onipon. Oh, God.
I've got all the underwear. Oh.
I'm wearing it
But
right now.
But you're
Shimonetta. It's going to be people
Exactly,
wearing it like a mask. They're like, oh, God, no.
Why is this happening?
Clearing out the brain. Because the official Twitter account of Eurocamp, or Laid Back Camp, announced the anime's first smartphone game this week. It'll be both iOS and Android. More details in March. I'm curious what form that'll take.
Where do you put your tent? Where do you put your tent?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I will say their VR games are fantastic. The Koku's basketball anime franchise announced a 10th anniversary celebration running from April 2022 through March of 2023. Yeah. It included a new song with an accompanying music video with new anime footage, a key art exhibition and 10th anniversary party display in Tokyo and Osaka, and a new official store in Ikebukuro open for the year. Also special prizes at its arcade and music venues across Japan. Really pushing that. Finally, if you're looking to read some manga, Shueisha's got you covered. In celebration of the 3rd anniversary of its Manga Plus app, get this. Users will now be able to read all the English chapters of all its simul-release manga series for free for a full year starting last weekend.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
And who is this again?
This is Shueisha, their Manga Plus app.
As we go.
Yeah, exactly. Typically, only the first 3 and latest 3 chapters of any given manga are available for free on the app. But for the next year, you'll be able to read each chapter in any currently serialized series once for free.
That's totally worth it.
It is a first read free campaign, only available inside the app, of course, and includes One Piece, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, and many more. So if you're curious about how the manga runs on some of those, this would be your chance.
No joke.
Yeah, very interesting.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my phone will shut down every third piece from viruses or whatever.
Yeah, it's time to upgrade your smartphone, I guess.
Gosh, time to get an iPad tablet thing.
Yeah,
I can really
that's a good call.
read it in larger format.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Versus
totally.
my phone, where it's like, get the magnifying glass
Yeah.
out. Wow, that's what that says.
Zoom in on each panel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I wonder if modern manga are increasingly designed to be read on smartphones. Like if you're Jujutsu Kaisen, that's got to be a consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are gonna have to. You're gonna have to. You're absolutely right. You're gonna
Uh-huh.
have to take that into account.
Yeah.
From now on. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And not just this, to be clear, like just in general, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
so much smartphone use is there. That's got to be a thing where it's like, yeah, I mean, wow. Yeah. I'll take 3.6 stars on the iPad app for free. I'll do that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. That's all the news for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.
Sweet.
It's a good thing. As usual, I completely forgot to do anime history.
Oh.
For some reason, that does not. I need to rebuild my checklist for anime history stuff, because we do have a couple of things. So give me just a moment. Okay, so here's the question. This is for John and Steve and for the chat. If there is like an official anime day in Japan, like it is, red-haired girls day or whatever, right?
Yeah,
where somebody has
Twin Tail
mentioned
Day.
it, right? Exactly. Yeah. Does that count for anime history? Like, do we include it?
Sure.
Why not?
Why not?
Well, because it's not technically history, right?
Right.
Is that a thing
no.
that happened?
Well, no, it could be a thing that happened. I think we can say that. Yeah, I think so. I'm
I mean,
just waiting
if they
for anime.
celebrate they celebrate animated characters' birthdays. I mean, why not? Anything's history.
Okay, cool. Fair enough.
Just be warned that there will be an Onipensu day one day.
Right.
Yes, there will.
And Onipansu inevitably takes over the world.
Exactly. New York Stock Exchange will become the Onipansu Stock Exchange.
Exactly. Right.
The Nikkei Index with the Onipansu Index.
And imagine the NFTs for that one.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there will be people who are imagining that right now.
I just realized. Yeah. The problem is if you. Okay. Well, we'll just go ahead and do it. Welcome to This Week in Anime History, where we talk about things that happened this week in anime history. And we're starting off with January 31st, 1996, the end of Dragon Ball Z, at least in terms of the television run.
Did it ever really end?
That's the thing.
Goku's still powering up that coming out.
Yeah.
So episode 291 finished out the original run of Dragon Ball Z in Japan in 1996. And that was the last anyone ever saw of Dragon Ball. It just sadly just disappeared. At that
It
point.
disappeared, went to obscurity somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
I never.
It had a good run before it just, folded in on itself.
Completely.
Right, yeah.
I have a question for you guys. What was your first exposure to Dragon Ball Z?
Oh, that was totally Toonami. That was totally Toonami. And, that great guitar riff. That's actually what got me. It was that stupid guitar riff that got me to watch it.
Okay.
And, Dragon Ball Z. But for Dragon Ball, it was reading the manga first. Or not reading the manga, just reading a couple, chapters to the manga and then realizing there was an anime and watching that and thoroughly enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And then it went on.
Yeah. And on and on and on.
And on.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where, because 96, 97, gosh, I literally didn't have cable in 96, 97. So I swear I ran across it on a Saturday morning cartoon block.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Toonami, like in the 2000s.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like ABC or NBC, CBS, like cartoon Saturday morning cartoon block. It could have even been like Fox. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it and going, "Huh, okay."
Yeah.
And that was it. That's like, this is not aimed at me. I'm not. It's interesting looking, I guess.
I believe I first saw it on WDCA TV 20.
Really?
In syndication, like on. I know it because I remember seeing it like on a weekday morning. Back when they would do cartoons at like 8 a.m. That it was one of those, and maybe it was ABC or CBS or something. But it felt like my memory tells me it was Channel 20, but memory's unreliable. But yeah, it was like, oh yeah, there's this weird Japanese cartoon running on. Well, it was at the time just cartoon, running mornings where people are shooting each other with fireballs, kind of like you guys, like, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, like the whole Saban Entertainment when they brought over the Power Rangers, where it was just like, people, explosion, things going on. Not aimed at me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was miffed at Power Rangers, but that's a whole other story. Yes. Also, this week, kind of technically, February 2nd is Twin Tails Day in Japan, because, of course, Tutu. Right?
Wait a minute. When you said Red Hail Girl and I said Twin Tail, did I accidentally say that?
You did, yes.
Oh, boy.
Everything's coming together.
Apparently I've been down the rabbit hole for a long time. I'm lame. No.
There we go.
No.
And the problem is, if you search for Twin Tails anime, you just get references to Gonna Be the Twin Tail. That the anime Gonna Be the Twin Tail, which kind of says like, can't just find a thing. But yes, that's a thing. Is celebrating all of the Twin Tail girls in your life. Do any of you have a favorite Twin Tail girl?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I like Beatrice from Ray Zero.
Okay.
Because I think Beatrice has the spiral twin tails, the little blonde spiral tails.
The drill hair.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to think of how many others there are. Rem has no twin tails. Rem is perfect the way that Rem is. So,
I mean, there's Taiga from
Toradora.
Toradora, right? I'm trying to think. I'm looking up now. Obviously, Sailor Moon.
Okay.
Should mention that. That's a good point. Twin Tail Girl is a girl with two ponytails, if you will, coming out the sides of her head. So it's
They
two.
have to be out the side of her head. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not like both right next to each other. There has to be some separation, right?
Well,
but
think of the Shield hero. Raftalia has like these two like pieces. Her hair flows, and then she basically has like two braid kind of very lengthy pieces that come down, but they're not like twin-tailed out ponytail.
Okay.
But they're it's like so it's really kind of.
I didn't see that, so I'm not. Yeah.
Oh, Renge from Non Non Buri.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
She's got the little bows, and then this. Okay.
Totally.
There's that.
Also, I'm forgetting her name from K-On, the fifth girl.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Smooky? No.
No.
Azusa?
Yes, Azusa. That's it.
Okay. Because remember when we were at OnCon, we were at OnCon, we were at Otakon, I bought that keychain thing that K-On has all the girls and their name on it. So like, I can look right over there.
There we go. Perfect. Let's see here. Can we have is there a list?
Oh, I'm sure somebody has made a twin tail list.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
almost guaranteed.
I'm sure lists exist, but are there going to be kind of anything? Okay. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Am I crazy?
Bueller.
Oh yeah, of course, Asuka from Eva.
Well, hell yeah!
Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Damn.
I was just thinking of the full long hair which she has for a lot of the show.
Yeah.
The girl from School Rumble, the blonde girl from School Rumble. Eri, and Sailor Moon. Technically Madoka from Madoka Magica. It's short hair, but it is two little poofs on the side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One of the girls from the Monogatari series, one of the little lowly girls, which I never keep track of.
Oh yeah.
And of course Hatsune Miku, one of the classic.
Yeah, probably one of the one with the far longer track record in most people's minds than a lot of these other ones.
Yeah, and that would probably be mine. Like that's my that's one of my favorite twin tail girl characters. Like she's just a cool character. Yeah, this is not a list I want to scroll down further on because it's gonna happen.
It gets weirder.
Exactly. Yes. Don't read the comments.
It goes in directions.
Yes, exactly. That's all the anime from this week. Thank you for watching. So yeah, we're gonna have a bit of a drought of anime history, FYI, for the next couple of weeks. Not much until like late February. Just as it turns out, we'll have a bit more coming up. But I have a question. What did we learn on the show tonight, Brent?
Your diaphragm.
I learned that there is actually an application of NFTs that don't make me vomit. Right? Not saying I love it. Not saying I'm like all on board. But I wasn't like, this is the most absurd thing in the world. Like, okay. There's that. What else? I also learned never underestimate the power of Pantsu.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Steve, how about you?
I have learned the power of the Nokia phone.
True.
Indeed.
I mean, I should probably invest in one and just have it. Just when the apocalypse happens, that'll be my knife. You'll have to like a survival tool. This would be like, but do you have a Nokia phone? If you don't, you're gonna die. That's it. You're gonna die.
It holds charge for decades and it can communicate across time. Cool.
Space. Might have a depressing
Steins Gate
conversation.
used a Nokia.
Might have a depressing text messaging conversation with your girlfriend spanning decades, but
let's just say you got to appreciate the forward thinking of the engineers who are able to calculate out this message will be delivered in 11 years, 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
At that point, I would be like, that would be the worst. That would be the worst, like, breakup text.
8 years later,
I met
it's
someone
over,
new.
baby.
I met someone new.
What?
That's horrible.
Well, I wonder if having that 8 years and so much other time is a callback to the days when you're trying to do Windows updating or download something, where it's like the time to finish downloading is 157 years. Like, oh god,
man,
dude, that much time.
Come on. I've learned that I fear that the next financial crisis will be set around NFTs and cryptocurrency, because we're all going to have like our own little, coins, whatever, and it's just all going to end badly, and only those of us with the Nokia phones will survive. I figured out, I've learned that the next project name, my next if it happens, musical project name is going to be Onipantsu, heavy metal.
Okay, yeah.
I
like that.
Heavy metal panic. What?
Heavy metal Onipantsu.
Okay.
And the power of love that comes with it.
Right.
Oh boy.
Sorry. I went there. The last thing I learned is that it's amazing when you have a modicum of ability and you have strong aspects and you just put yourself out there, that you can make something pretty nice that people can appreciate later on, especially when you get, better at it.
Yeah.
And it should give people. Too many times I think people give up on doing something because they don't have the ability right away. And they don't understand that they need to have time. And Shinkai kind of proves the concept of, you can have strong elements and be weak in other things, and just give yourself time, because you can make something nice now.
Absolutely.
Become skilled at your craft.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah. Thanks.
John?
I learned that I might have to be getting a laid-back camp game.
Yeah.
But definitely Shueisha. Wow. A year of free manga. So I learned that I'm going to have to get a magnifier for my phone or figure out a different way to read that manga for free for a year. Yes.
In our copious free time.
Yes, exactly. And just kind of cobble it in there somewhere amongst all the Genshin and anime life, eating, sleeping. Sleeping might have to suffer for this. So
yeah. Nothing quite like reading manga with sleep deprivation.
Exactly. But it's worth it. It's free for a year. Right. I have 1 year to not ever sleep. And then I can sleep after.
We are so starving for free content. It is so hard to find.
Yes. The interwebs have none of this content for free.
Yeah. No, it's true. But yeah, I totally agree. Like it is awesome that's available and out there. Like
I mean, I can't wait to look through their catalogs. No offense, I'm not going to. If there's 900 episodes of One Piece, I can't even wrap my mind around how much manga this is going to be.
Right.
So, stuff like that, not so much. But I can't wait to look through the catalog and see stuff that I've been wanting to get more background information on, and this finally be an opportunity for me to dial in on that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Time permitting, obviously.
Don't worry, John. There are actually, does it say? There are only 101 volumes of One Piece.
Only.
Constituting 9,557,000 chapters.
Over 1,000. Over 1,000 chapters at this point. Yeah.
Nope. That's a nope. Thank you, but that's a nope.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Next week, we will be watching and talking about The Garden of Words, a later Makoto Shinkai work, sort of an OVA. That will be on the docket for next time. I think it's about 45 minutes, if I recall correctly.
Sweet.
An hour, something like that. And so we're talking about Garden of Words. That is the plan. And then from there, we'll be moving into some more obscure works. We asked you all in the Discord what we should be doing, what you all would like us to be reviewing and analyzing. And now that we're kind of moving through our Makoto Shinkai kind of backlog, we're going to move into some weird stuff in February and March and so forth. So strap in, everyone. And remember,
it's gonna get weird.
Absolutely. Oh boy. And OnCon is coming up March 5th. OnCon 7, we will be streaming right here. We'll be doing OnCon all again. Steve will be doing panels. I'll be doing a panel on Evangelion. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for that. And the auction is back, baby. So hope you'll join us for that. A bunch of cool stuff. Yeah, that is what we'll be doing in about a month from now. Well, exactly a month from now. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Sweet.
Thank you all so much.
Time is flying.
Absolutely. As always, have a great one. Have a great week. And until next time, watch more anime.
Sayonara, Johnny.
Donde es tu papá?